Will you please rise and assist me in pledging allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you join me in prayer, please? Supreme Architect of the universe, we invoke thy blessing at this time. May this meeting thus be conducted in peace, conducted in harmony, and closed in unison. Amen?
Amen.
We'll spot your lunch money.
Well, yeah.
Is that what you lost? Was your lunch money?
Well, it could be if it's cash. It really wasn't, but that works.
I'd like to welcome everyone to our public business meeting, Thursday, May the 2nd, 2013. Gentlemen, are there any additions or deletions to our agenda?
No, sir.
Gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our April 25th, 2013 meeting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Brody, seconded by Commissioner Valentine. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, gentlemen, we have a very jam-packed meeting today, so I'm going to skip the report of the President and go right into our first proclamation. I'd like to make aware to everyone that this happens to be Children's Mental Health Awareness Week. I understand that Sarah Phillips Bennett, the family navigator of the Family Network, is here. So if you all would come up. Would you like to say a couple words first before we?
Sure.
Okay. The microphone's right there, and then we will go ahead and.
I'm Sarah Phillips Bennett with the Maryland Coalition. This is Eula Keach. We're both family navigators. We have a campaign week each May for children's mental health. On May 10th, we welcome all of you to come down to downtown after 5 and help us celebrate children's mental health. We're also having a luncheon at the Art Gallery on May 10th. We welcome everybody to come join us.
Art Gallery. Wonderful. Well, if you'd be so kind to come up, we'd like to present you with this proclamation. Ready? We good, Bretta? Okay. I'd like to present you with this proclamation. Allegheny County Government. Whereas Allegheny County Government appreciates all agencies and organizations which work to increase and enhance the mental health offerings to our community. And whereas addressing the complex mental health needs of all individuals is a critical responsibility and fundamental to the future of Allegheny County. And whereas the Family Network, a program of the Maryland Coalition of Families for Children's Mental Health, focuses on children and adolescents in our community and is responsible caring for the far-reaching mental health needs. And therefore, we as County Commissioners of the Board of County Commissioners extend appreciation to the Family Network and hereby proclaim May 5th through the 11th, 2013 to be Children's Mental Health Awareness Week in Allegheny County and encourage all citizens and stakeholders to specifically focus on the importance of our children's mental health and well-being. It is signed by all 3 county commissioners and has the seal of our county. Congratulations. Thank you. Thanks for all you do.
We're going to do some more fire out.
All right.
All right. If I could, at this point, have Mr. Robert Wolf and Ms. Sarah Cowan from the Structure Learning Environment teacher at Fort Hill come up, please. Last week I shared with our meeting and those who had attended that I had a really, really special day. And if I may, I'm going to recap. I got I think it was first a phone call from Commissioner Brody. He said, Commissioner, he said, there's a gentleman who wants to meet you, and there's a class that wants to meet the county commissioners. I was having a conversation with some people last night, and here's where you need to go. Please take care of this. I said, I'm right on it, Commissioner. So I went ahead and I went up to Fort Hill and asked to find Ms. Cowan. She had just left the office, and they called her right back. I said, I didn't know if she could see me or not, but I said, I walked in and I said, I'm here to meet Mr. Robert Wolf. I understand that he wanted to meet a county commissioner and talk about the county government. And I was there to kind of schedule something where I could meet them. You were very gracious and took me upstairs, and I got the blessing of meeting your class and meeting Bob. And it was just so impressive to see this class be so enthusiastic, so much happiness to learn, and then to listen to Bob's answers on government, city government, seals. The gentleman is a blessing. And so after that meeting, I came back and we had our meeting, and I shared that with everyone here. We thought it would be a wonderful idea to go ahead and have the class come visit us. About a half hour earlier, they came and visited the county commissioner's offices upstairs. So we got to show them around from the administrator and give them a little bit of a tour and explain a little bit what county commissioners do. Bob, it gives me this great pleasure to present to you, sir, the Allegany County flag. Now, we've gone around to the different towns and municipalities giving these flags out to the volunteer fire departments as well. And one of the things that I always do is I like to put the man who we call Mr. Knowledge, the man who's been here for almost 200 years, Commissioner Valentine. He gets to explain the seal, because if I'm not mistaken, he remembers when the mountains were created. So, out of respect, I'm going to show the seal to Bob, and then they're going to explain it. If Commissioner Bill, if he could do that, and then we'll turn it around. So.
Okay, we got the date, 1789. That was the birthday of Allegany County. We got the shock of wheat there that honors our farming history. We've got the pick and shovel that goes back to railroad times and coal mining. Here in the center, that would be the needle of a compass, and it's pointing west because Allegany County was headed the way west. Here we've got our coal cars, railroad cars, the 9 Mile House in LaVale. We've got our smokestack industries, and of course we've got our mini church steeples, and best of all, Mountain Maryland. These are the mountains that make Allegany County very special.
Bob, natural resources are very, very important to one of our commissioners, and he understands the history that natural resources have been for Allegany County. So I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Brody to talk about those two.
Absolutely. Coal and iron ore was the founding backbone of Allegany County. Without being such, them two resources in our wood, we would have no city of Cumberland or no Allegany County. That was the sole purpose of driving the railroad west out of Baltimore, and also the C&O Canal. So they've been a big part of our heritage for the last 150 years, and hope that they will be a big part for the next 150 years.
Okay, thank you very much.
Also, with that being said, Commissioner, I'm sure that was Nicole Wagner, councilman, that was in to see you, and that was who contacted us about getting Commissioner McKay in there to see you. So.
Yes.
And that all transpired within almost like
Less than 24 hours.
less than 24 hours.
Absolutely.
So, and it has really been a true blessing to meet you, sir. I hope that you come and visit us more often. And so at this time, I'd like to present you with this county flag, sir. What we would like to do is bring the other students up because we have a couple gifts, if we could.
And just so you all know, Bill is a graduate of Fort Hill High School, but not in 1789. He was only in elementary school then, so I don't know.
Well, Rob was concerned that we were coming on the blue side of town.
The town is red and white no matter what.
Yeah, that's what I said, red, white, and blue.
But ladies and gentlemen, what we have here is the commissioners are proud to present you with an Allegheny County pin that we hope that you will wear with pride. But because Bob is so enthusiastic about seals, remember in your all's room, showed me the different seals that are above the doors and that kind of stuff. Each of you, we'd like to present you with an Allegheny County seal.
Wow.
So, thank you very much. Appreciate your interest in Allegheny County government. Appreciate it. Is there anything you'd like to say, or did I miss something? Or?
No, we just like to thank you for the tour and thank Miss Reinhardt for all the prep that she did for us and for all three commissioners and for Everly and Ruth too.
Well, I tell you, we have a term of endearment for Miss Bretta Reinhardt. We call her Mom.
Yes.
So it'd be all right if you called her Mom. That would be the best way. So.
Thank
Mom
you.
and great granddad.
Well, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and come on in there for a group picture.
Son.
Okay, Dad.
Turn sideways,
Is that good?
maybe Miss Cowan, maybe you should step over by Commissioner McKay.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
To the right.
Here, and I'll sit behind.
And if everybody turns sideways, it's a little, that's good.
I think you and I
That's
are
better.
fine.
Ready? Here we go. Go two. Okay. Okay.
He's finished, I'm not. I rely on you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I started my day out at the National Day of Prayer breakfast. Went to downtown Cumberland and had a prayer rally that was there for the city of Cumberland. And then this just is the icing on the cake. This is the neat stuff that we get to do as county commissioners, and we thank the citizens for allowing us to do that.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, Mr. DeWitt. We have a presentation here, the Allegheny County Student Tree Planting Spring 2013. Welcome,
evening.
sir.
Thank you. I'd like to take a few minutes here and kind of keep going in the same vein we've been here, recognizing how our students have got involved with what we're doing here at local government and how it can help us out with our job and also help the environment, in this case with the tree planting. Ask a few people to come up here that have been involved in this tree planting project, introduce them to you, and then kind of give you some background on what we've been doing and show you some photos and kind of highlight the accomplishments of our students here. So anybody that's been involved with our project, if you can come forward please for a minute, I'll introduce everyone.
My name's Bill Detterman. I'm the science supervisor for Allegheny County Board of Education, and I'm not sure I'm supposed to make comments now, but I'd like to. The partnership that we've developed with the Department of Public Works has been outstanding. As you're going to find out in a few minutes, it involves getting teachers and a lot of students involved in a really interesting and neat project dealing with environmental literacy. And one of the new COMAR regulations that's been passed down to the counties is following certain standards, and they've really helped us out with this grant that they were able to obtain. And while I'm on the mic, I'll mention the fact that also all of the engineers have participated in a presentation to our high school juniors and seniors dealing with careers, and they've visited all the high schools, and it's been an excellent opportunity for our students to learn about engineering and the careers that are involved in the Department of Public Works. So I want to thank them for all that.
Hi, my name is Danielle Schumerth, and I'm actually the forester with Maryland DNR Forest Service that supervised the contractor that was hired to do the Governor Stream Challenge grant plantings. And I worked with the Westmar Middle School students to help plant the little parklet area in Allegany. And I'm also working, I'm going to be working with the Career Center at Locust Grove, not next week, but the week after that. So.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Paul Erickson. I'm the Natural Resources Specialist for the City of Cumberland, Maryland. I probably have seen you all before at our celebration of Arbor Day in City. Worked with Dan, Angela to work those sites that in the city planted with Fort Hill High School in Constitution Park and Allegany High School over at JC Field.
My name's Dennis Pittenger. I know all you guys. And I'm a volunteer. I'm chairman of the Cumberland Shade Tree Commission. And I just enjoy working with the kids and understanding what we need for trees and what we do with them. And I'll make sure they have a good time. I joke with them, and it's a blast to do it.
And I'm Angie Patterson. You all know me. I've been working with Dan on this project, although he's mostly taken the lead. We kind of toyed around with whether to go after this grant or not, and at first we were kind of like, I don't know, that sounds like a lot of involvement. And then all of a sudden one day, we got some encouragement from Ben Cooper at the Soil Conservation District, and I said, you know what, Dan, let's do this. And from that point forward, he just hit the ground running, and he took over, and I kept saying, Dan, do you need my help? What do you need me to do? And he was just good.
Well, thank you for saying that. Give you a little bit of brief background here, and then just show some photos so you can see what we've been up to. As it says up there, we received about $130,000 from the state through DNR to plant almost 20 acres of trees throughout the county this spring. And there's two goals. Number one, to increase the amount of tree planting we do throughout the county to meet some of our TMDL goals, and also to increase the environmental literacy with our local students. So tried to figure out kind of the best mix to bring in as many students as we could, and also make sure that we could get as much area planted as possible. We hired a contractor through an open bidding process here at the county, CNS Landscaping out of Frostburg. They planted around 16 acres of trees for us throughout the county, Valley Road area, Locust Grove, down Route 36, and then around Lonaconing and Barton and Midland, and out in Old Town as well. The students planted the remaining sites, as everyone up here said, in the Constitution Park area, JC Field area near the animal shelter, and down near Westmar Middle School. And we have one more site coming up in Locust Grove here in a few days. And we use different tree sizes, little tiny seedlings all the way up to 8 or 9 year old trees, different species of trees, worked in a lot of different soil conditions. It made for some interesting challenges, but also made for some good learning for me, because I really didn't know much about tree planting before we started, and also for the students as well. As I mentioned, the trees are helping us to meet our TMDL goals for planting streamside forest buffers. We made a goal to go after about 8 acres a year, so we were able to greatly exceed that with this project. It helped the students learn more about why we were planting the trees. Someone who couldn't make it tonight, Donnell Keach from the Nature Conservancy, took a lot of time at each planting day to explain the why trees, basically the question for our students, and how does it help the environment? Why does planting a tree here in Allegany County have a benefit all the way down to the Chesapeake Bay, and how is it all connected up here in terms of how they filter water and provide oxygen and all those things that we all think we know, but until we actually sit and learn about it, we really realize what an impact this can have up here for us. So our planting events up here are part of a statewide effort involving over 13,000 kids to plant over 1,000 acres of trees, and even more than that probably with what contractors did as part of this project. And as we mentioned, we had students from Allegany, the Career Center, Fort Hill, and Westmar involved with this project. We have 4 events held so far, one more coming up here with the Career Center, about 215 students involved. We were able to award student service learning hours, which are important for all the high school students. And typical event, we introduced all the adults and the volunteers present, had someone with more knowledge of tree planting than me give the demonstration on how to do it, because we want them to survive. Had the students then go and break into pairs and go around and plant the trees, whether they were the seedlings or the larger trees, depending on the site. Had the presentation I mentioned. Had the students go back and make sure they'd adequately protected the trees with stakes or shelters or whatever needed to be done. Had lunch on site with the kids, and then either had more planning or else did more kind of a career day type thing to expose the students to different types of natural resources, environmental related careers, in case they had an interest in that and wanted to learn more. Most of the people that have been a big help were able to make it here tonight, and appreciate all their help at the county. We also had Greg Hildreth from our GS department, Steve Warren, our surveyor, and Jimmy Bone with our corrections crew took a lot of care in making sure that we picked the right sites and were able to get them cleared out ahead of time so the planting could occur. And that's been kind of a win-win for us, because now these sites can be taken off of our mowing register and can be kind of revert back to forest over time, which is good for us and frees up some additional time for those guys. From the city here, Paul and Dennis appreciate their assistance with the city sites. From DNR, Dan Hedrick, who's been a great help with providing kind of the expert recommendations on trees that I don't know much about. Danielle and Melissa Nash and Larry Maxim from DNR, who were able to be on site several times and provide some guidance for us. From the Board of Education, Mr. Detterman was here, and his secretary, Ms. Vargas, and then the teachers from the various schools really helped us out and keep the kids in line and make sure they're having fun and learning at the same time too. From the Nature Conservancy, Donnell Keach, Department of Agriculture, Ben Cooper, Angie mentioned, and Max and Brent, 2 guys that came and helped us at Westmar Middle School, and from the Soil Conservation District, Craig Hartsock, who came out on site as well. I have a few photos here. I'll just leaf through them. You guys can see what we've been up to and see kind of the involvement we've had. This is Constitution Park on the very first day. We had a few trees going in there, had some demonstration with the kids, let them know what we wanted them to get after, presentation from Donnell about why trees are important, and then the kids broke into groups. Some groups had more than others depending on the site, but everybody got involved at some point. Presentation about how the soil is important from different sites depending on where you are and what kind of moisture is in the ground. That's the site once it's done. You can hardly really even tell we were in there, but the trees are in there and they're growing, which is the goal. At Westmar Middle, we planted seedlings with much smaller. They're all sitting in those little white bags there, so you can barely even see them, but that's why we protect them in there. And Danielle did a great job explaining what we wanted to do to all the kids, and they had a good time there, as you can see from the photos. This site has been planted in the past, and through flooding and whatnot, it's been kind of washed out, so we're trying to restore it and get it growing the way it can be for that area. We had a lot of good, enthusiastic kids at this point. A lot of rocky soil, which made for some interesting digging, but they were good sports and helped us out a lot. So Donnell gave her presentation several times, but didn't complain, and really drove home the educational aspect of it, which we were really after with this project as well. At the 2 sites there at J.C. Field, we had much bigger trees there. You can see these were, I was told, or I'm assuming 8 or 9 years old already, so they were much bigger and required 1 or 2 more people, you can see, to carry to the site, not just the small seedlings. So it was a little bit of a different type of planning. Luckily, Paul was able to get a backhoe in there and dig the holes already, because we found out kind of the hard way that one hole took about an hour to dig, and we'd have been out of luck otherwise. So kids did a really good job getting these trees in the ground, and hopefully make for a really nice area in the future once these trees start to grow up some more. These are our adult volunteers here. We had a really good crew. This was a really, I think, kind of a unique effort in that we had people from federal agencies, state agencies, local agencies really involved here, and everybody was committed to helping the kids out. And it's nice that things that I wasn't really familiar with were able to be filled in with somebody else with the expertise, and vice versa, and made for a really successful project, and I think the students really benefited from it. So we were also really fortunate to have Deputy Secretary from DNR, Frank Dawson, come up to the site on one of our planning days and talk to the kids about the importance of this project in particular, and kind of the statewide effort, and why what they're doing is helping us to meet the goals to restore the health of the bay. And that was really, really great. Commissioner Valentine stopped by, and we appreciate his support. He was the one that kind of suggested we get this little celebration recognition here together, and I think that was a good idea, and really helps recognize the students for what they did. We're hoping that in the future we can get more funding, more planning. The money's there. We need to identify some more sites, but we've learned some good lessons through this project, and we're hoping that we can continue to plant these trees, because this is a great alternative for us to some of the other things that are coming down the road for other places dealing with TMDL issues. We don't have to think about a tax at this point. We don't have to think about other things like that with impervious surfaces. Planting trees, which we have an abundance of spots, is something that's helping us satisfy our goals right now, and that's really crucial, and we're happy with the work that we've been able to do thus far. So, and the last few photos here on one of the private sites we had in Grahamtown, we had some tiny helpers, and they did a great job as well. And as you can see,
She looked familiar.
So all sizes of trees and all sizes of helpers too. So it was a great project, and that's all we have for today. Appreciate the support and the time, and thanks to everybody who was involved.
Let's give this team a round of applause. Thank you very much. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Might as well stick around, Dan.
Yeah, I think so.
Commissioners, under our action part of our agenda is item number 4, the Bedford Road Sewer Rehabilitation Phase 3 Highland Estates Contract number S-76. Mr. DeWitt.
Okay, hello again, thank you. Take a few minutes here and give you a background on what we're doing with this project here. Allegany County is continuing with our phased approach here of addressing our consent order to make repairs and remove sanitary sewer overflow points throughout the county and throughout specifically here the Bedford Road Sanitary District. This is the third phase of our project. The first phase was the Ioka Basin low pressure grinder system completed last year. Second phase was the Shays Lane sewer rehab project, also completed last year, and this is in the Highland Estates area, which is located off of Nays Crossroads out there near the new sheets north of Cumberland. This current project, we started design in-house back in August of 2012, so we didn't have to do any work outside. We were able to do it all internally, which helped us save a lot of money. We're impacting approximately 35 homes. Everybody in this development and a few businesses as well will be served by this project. The reason we're in this area, currently they experience high rates of infiltration and inflow, meaning whenever we have wet weather events that the sanitary pipes are carrying stormwater and rainwater and other sources of flow that are not supposed to be in there, and it causes overflows in our system. So we're working to fix that problem, make the pipes, restore the pipes, replace them, and make them functional again. The project will replace the existing gravity sewer system in the area with mostly new gravity sewer, and we're also going to put about 10 to 12 grinder pumps in the area to eliminate some of the problems we have. It's very steep out there. If you've ever been out there, grades of about 20% on the road, so grinder pumps will help us accommodate some of those challenges. We have approximately 3,000 linear feet of new pipe and about 20 manholes to replace as well. Our funding for this project comes from the Maryland Department of the Environment State Revolving Loan Fund. Currently we have $1 million split via $875,000 in loan forgiveness funds, meaning we don't have to pay those back, kind of like a grant, and $125,000 in loan funds to be paid back by all the users of the entire sanitary district, running from Highland Estates area there all the way up to Route 220 along Bedford Road. We received permission from the commissioners to advertise for bids way back on August 9th when this funding became available. Following the design completion, we began advertising back on March 24th of this year. Opened bids last Tuesday, April 23rd. Schaefer Construction Company, local company, was the low bidder with a bid of $967,078. We're currently getting together the bid procurement package to send to MDE for approval, and pending no issues and approval from you all, we can begin construction this summer. Hopefully get most of it taken care of by the end of the construction season this fall. Current funding breakdown and estimated construction costs for this project specifically will not cause an increase in rates for sewer customers in that district. So what we're asking for tonight, approval of the award of this contract, Bedford Road Sewer Rehab Phase 3, Highland Estates, to Schaefer Construction in the amount of $967,078. And authorize President McKay to sign any necessary contract-related documents and agreements.
Commissioners, are there any comments, concerns, questions?
I'm glad to see Dan knows more about sewer lines than he does planting trees.
If I didn't, we'd be in trouble.
No questions.
Okay. Gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the Bedford Road Sewer Rehabilitation Phase 3 Highland Estate Contract Number 6-76 to the apparent low bidder, Schaefer Construction Company.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Valentine, seconded by Commissioner Brody. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Mr. Bennett. Gentlemen, item number 5 is our public hearing on the preliminary budget, and our Director of Finance is here.
Good evening,
Good evening, sir.
As you know, we presented the preliminary budget last week. The next 2 weeks will be simply for public comment. There are hearings that we're required to have. So tonight is simply public comment for anyone
Okay.
that signed up.
Okay. Dr. Jean, was your comments about the budget?
No.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Mr. Lewis, I'm sorry, Lou, Pentronella. I tried.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
My name is Louis Petronella. I live in LaVale, and I'm here to ask you to fully fund the Allegheny County Public Schools budget request. I represent the support personnel of the Allegheny County Public Schools. I negotiate and enforce their contracts. Their jobs include secretaries, teacher assistants, and technicians. During the school year 2008-9, there were about 242 support staff. At this present time, we have now only 221, and almost 10% loss due to attrition. We haven't had any furloughs, but we still lost these people. In fiscal year 2010, they received a COLA adjustment of 2%. In fiscal year 2011, they received a COLA adjustment of 1%. They have not received a COLA adjustment since then. All of this because you failed to provide funds funding above the maintenance of effort during this time. Of the 221 support personnel we presently have, 135 are not even eligible for a step increase this year. They're at the max. While they have experienced at the same time a 2% loss from Social Security, as we all have, and they will be seeing an increase in the cost of their health premiums next year, Obamacare. The Board of Education has asked you for a modest increase, which will allow for a modest COLA adjustment for all employees. It's significantly less than the 3% you are offering your county employees. And we ask you and urge you, please, to fully fund their request. Thank you for your attention. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Do you have the dollar amount of that modest request?
No, I don't. 1%, I think.
$1.3 million?
I have no idea what the total is. I'm talking now, not speaking for the teachers and administrators. I'm just just talking about these 221 support personnel, but the total cost, I think Mr. Evan West will speak to that and probably give you some firm numbers on that.
Okay.
So,
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Kevin. Mr. Kevin Schaefer, correct, Kevin? Okay.
My name is Kevin Schaefer. I live at 829 National Highway in LaVale. And just to let you commissioners know, earlier today I was walking through the hallway and I ran into these students. I'm glad to see you students showed up today. It's always nice to see you people interested in politics and government. And just like Mr. Petronella, who was my chemistry teacher in 11th grade, I will be asking for a $700,000 increase to the school board. So here goes. My neighbor, and let's just call him Ben, comes over to my house and he's always asking me different things. This particular day he happened to have a copy of the Times News article, and I think it was dated March 30th, but I could be off a day or so. And the heading says, Allegheny County touts tax deduction, $150,000 homeowner saves $200 per year. Matthew wrote the article. It's well done. He's a good article writer. The first paragraph says, Allegheny County Commissioners gave themselves a pat on the back for the tax reduction that they say have brought a $200 a year decrease to a homeowner owning a $150,000 home. And so my neighbor, Ben, said to me, how do they do that? And I said, well, it's simple. They have a $150,000 home, and the way it works is it's divided by 100, so you come up with $1,500, and it's 1/10 of 1 cent. So you multiply that times 1,500, you come up with $1.50 in savings. And he said, but Kevin, they said in the newspaper it was $400, or it was $200. He said it was $200. How did they get there? And Matthew took care of that, because in the second paragraph he says, changing property assessments also affect the tax figure. So my neighbor Ben says to me, how do they do it? And I said, well, it would seem to me that what they did was they took that $150,000 home and looked at last year's record, and it was a $170,000 home. And if you subtract $150,000 from $170,000, you get $20,000. You divide that by 100, you get 200. The non-municipality rate, and that's what I pay in LaVale, is 0.98. If you multiply that out, it comes up to $196. And because the commissioners over the last 3 years have given us this $1.50 reduction, that would equal approximately $200. So my question, commissioners, is, that's what I told my neighbor Ben. We'll call him Ben. Is that right?
There's the man.
Sorry, Kevin. Well, we did have a constant yield hearing on this, and what Kevin's talking about is partially right. Part of the rest of the story is, as part of constant yield, the state tells you what your tax rate should be to collect the same amount as last year. If you had chosen to do that, the tax rate would have been 0.9973. That's where the difference comes in. That's actually the tax rate that you commissioners are offering for this year is 0.9800, which is, you can see, a much bigger difference than 1/10 of a penny. So that's where your increase is. The 1/10 of a penny from last year, yes, smaller dollar decrease. That's correct. So.
Okay, thank you.
For that answers.
Yeah,
You have about a minute, 30 seconds.
Beautiful. And that's fine. And last year, just to let people know, instead of paying 0.98, I paid 0.981. So it really is the 1/10 of 1 cent. It's $1.50 savings. I would differ with the way you're calculating this. But having said that, I called Randy Bittinger over at the Board of Education. I said, Randy, I need these numbers. And couldn't get in touch with him. He left a message on my answering machine, so here goes. He said, when I asked him how much the school board was requesting, he said, Kevin, they're requesting $30,500,000. And then you get into a $500,000 supplemental, which I'm not going to get into. He said the preliminary budget, and Jason's here, he can tell you because I don't know, you're going to give them $29,800,000. There you go. So the difference is $700,000, which is what I told these students here I was going to ask for, $700,000. Now, just based on how the numbers work, each penny in the increase in taxes brings in approximately $350,000, just to make the numbers easy. So if you increase taxes by 2 cents, that will bring in the $700,000 that our students here need, that Mr. Petronella has asked for. Now, just to let these people know, you say, well, how much is that, Kevin? Because Ben would want to know, how much is that? And it comes out on a $100,000 home, $20. That's 2 sawbucks. Sawbucks for you students is a $10 bill. That's 2 of those. Over a whole year, we're asking the taxpayers to pay $20 more so that you students, and I'm sorry for pointing, I shouldn't have done that, so that you students can have $700,000 extra to spend however you want.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schaefer. I appreciate your comments. We'll take it into consideration.
I know you will. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ms. Debbie Pappas.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm here representing the Allegheny County Teachers Association. And it looks like I picked the right day to be here because our theme seems to be growth today. And I'm talking about the kind of growth that we saw in people trying to beautify our county, the type of growth that we're seeing with our students, with Ms. Cowan's class, their social, their emotional, their academic growth is so important to us. And that's why I'm here to ask that you consider funding the entire budget request from the Board of Education. We really feel, and I have many teachers in the room with me tonight, we're very concerned about this because we feel this is a no-frills budget. We feel that it's needed to keep the progress that we have been able to make with our students, things like outdoor school, after-school programs, reading intervention specialists, manageable class sizes, having enough staff to make sure that these students progress in the manner in which they're entitled. We feel that providing a quality public education is a backdrop to economic development and continuing the success of our career and college readiness programs. This is a program that's highly known throughout the state, and we want this connection to continue. And I think that connection speaks for itself, that a quality education does provide economic development in our area. Also, I'd like to speak to stopping the loss of middle-class jobs from our area. This has been a real negative cycle that people have been experiencing for probably 30 years now. But as one of the largest employers in the county, the school board has had to cut over 100 jobs in the last 4 years. 60 of those have been teaching positions. This amounts to 60 usually young teachers not finding a job in our area, probably moving out of the area, taking with them the potential to have more families. It becomes a vicious cycle. We lose enrollment through that type of a situation also. And that also hurts our level of funding from the state and the federal government as well. We are holding steady a little bit with that. I know we're down to about 6 less students this year than what we've had, of a drop of about 100 a year previously. So I am concerned about local jobs as well, and the tax base being decreased by those middle-class jobs leaving our area. I really think that funding this budget creates a stronger piece of the puzzle of economic development. I want to emphasize that with you. And I think it creates a better business environment, a better environment for business to feel that they can locate here when we have quality schools. And I think that there is a surplus. I've heard it's $16 to $17 million. I'm not sure of those figures that I think could be used to try to fund this budget. So I'd ask your consideration to try to fund this no-frills budget and make sure that we stop losing staff within our schools and we're able to give the kind of programs that we know our students deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pappas. And I'm not exactly sure if no frills is the proper terminology for asking for an additional $1.3 million. But everyone has different definitions. And then the second of all is that this Board of County Commissioners has approved $9.2 million for a new Allegany High School. So I'm not exactly sure that this Board of Commissioners is not concerned about that with the students. And anyhow, we beg to differ. I have one question. I assume that when the state over the last 2 years cut $10 million out of their budget, ACTA went and talked to the governor about those type of funding cuts.
Yes, we have.
Good, that's wonderful, because I was there too. So, and just wanted to say that Allegany County has always increased its funding per pupil, and we have the numbers for that. But thank you very much, and
Thank you for
appreciate
consideration.
it. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Gentlemen, moving to our consent agenda. Mr. Everly?
Commissioners, I have 3 items for your consideration here this evening. We have board appointments. LaVale Sanitary Commission, we have a new property management agreement through our Scattered Sites program that HRDC manages for us. And I'm kind of excited about the third item on our agenda tonight that deals with a re-grant agreement with the arrangement that we have with the state of Maryland and American Woodmark. And David Nedved wants to come up here for just a brief moment, and I want him to shed some light on a good news aspect of this story.
Ms. Sams, I'll call on you after David has talked.
I think you'll answer my question.
Okay. Well, if he doesn't, please let us know.
Hello, Commissioners. What's before you in the consent agenda is that basically we're coming up with another amendment to the grant agreement that we have with DBED and American Woodmark. Basically, this is due to just changing conditions, nothing spectacular. We had to do a first amendment back in 2008. The original agreement was signed in February 2005, and again, conditions changed, so we're signing another amendment. We're asking you to sign another amendment in this year. The good news with American Woodmark is that we're seeing nice, steady increases in employment, and the company is now at a new record high for employment. It's got 444 employees at the present time. That's up from 324 employees back in 2010. So this is good news.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Very good. Ms. Sams, do you have a question? Please. David, you may have to answer some questions here.
We're good.
Don't go far.
Jackie Sams, Cumberland. I was just wondering whether is this an extension then of the 2005?
Yeah, actually, part of it is that we are giving, not giving, but it's another 2-year extension for the grant agreement.
Okay. And how is the county involved with this?
It's a re-grant. Originally, the grant comes from DBED to us, and then we re-granted to American Woodmark. It's actually all related to the site development for American Woodmark back in 2005.
Okay, great. Thank you.
No money at this present time. That was all done in 2005.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful.
That's all I got on consent.
Gentlemen, like to entertain a motion to accept our consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Brody, seconded by Commissioner Valentine. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Eberly.
Nothing to add, sir.
Kids, we always must be respectful to our elders and our teachers. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our county attorney, Mr. Bill Rudd, to see if he has any questions or comments or thoughts. Thank you, sir. That's a little joke that we like to play on Mr. Rudd.
Very little. They say that payback.
Commissioners, Commissioner Brody.
Yes, sir. As always, sir, the calendar is available online at all times, but I'm going to just a brief little up-to-date on what's going on at the Potomac Highlands Airport. As chairman there now, we're kind of heading in a new direction. We had a meeting last Thursday. I had to leave early for. We're working on a new plan, a new future vision plan of the airport. Our master plan is in place, and it's consistent with the ALP of the airport, but we have some very good members working on that. Stephen Spar from FSU come down. He has some very good ideas. He's working very closely with Stu Zapsky, Allegany County Chamber of Commerce, and Mona Ritter from Mineral County Economic Development. As of earlier today, we actually had some new business interests on the airport of starting up a little business, and I'll know more about that here in the next couple weeks. So
good news.
We have all new board members, and we're heading in a very good direction. So hopefully, with the help of the experts from the outside, we'll get this moving forward in the right direction and get some bang for our buck.
Wonderful. Commissioner Valentine.
Just a few quick things. Number one, I'd like to give personal thanks to Dan and Angie for what they're doing with the tree planting program. It's helping the county meet our TMDL levels, and it's given students some much needed training on environmental matters, and Dan did a really great job putting it together. And as he said, I was at the JC field, and it was good to see, the students definitely put in a good day's work planting those trees. And then yesterday, I had the honor of spending some time with Del McCory and the people on his team here, getting ready for the Del Fest that happens at the end of this month. They expect that festival to bring about 32,000 people into the county this year. Of course, they won't all be in place at one time, but that's still 32,000 visitors to our county. Plans that the festival keeps growing. There's plans to have the people with the just one-day tickets parking off-site, which gives more room for more tents, more camping. So it's a growing festival. Changes made every year, and it's something real good for the county.
Wonderful.
Very good.
Wonderful. Okay, we have Dr. Jean Bayless, who has signed up for constituents. Doctor?
I'm the only one.
Well, yeah, we cleared everything out, so yes, ma'am.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi. My name is Jean Bayless, and I'm president of our local Allegheny County Conservative Tea Party Caucus. We have a little logo and everything, plus a website. It's AlleganyTeaParty.com. So the purpose of my coming today, commissioners, is basically to discuss ICLEIs, ICLEIs with you. We recently had a roundtable discussion on Agenda 21 that was led by our vice president, who isn't here tonight. I'm going to find him after this. But anyway, one of the fundamental units that are used by the United Nations plan, the agenda for world socialist change, is ICLEIs, ICLEIs. So let me just continue. The term ICLEI is brief for International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives. ICLEIs are fundamental units through which the United Nations on a local level effect creeping socialism change via the United Nations Agenda 21. Agenda 21, there's the first page of a 300-page manual, and I have a copy of this for you commissioners. Nice fiery red, blazing orange, so that it's good to affect your emotions. Basically, the concept of sustainable development, which is a key phrase for Agenda 21, is the founding principle of Agenda 21, was first introduced in 1987 by a German, last name of Brundtland. He was then vice president, and this is key, of the World Socialist Party. He introduced sustainable development at the United Nations World Commission on Environment and Development in 1987. 5 years later, a commission had been formed by the United Nations, and 5 years later, this commission met, and they held the infamous Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. President George Bush, without going to Congress, without any education to the American people, basically signed on to Agenda 21. It's over 300 pages. The smart growth was basically one of the immediate results as a catchphrase. Some of you might remember a few decades ago that came out of this initial enterprise. In 1995, President Clinton issued Executive Order 12858, I got to get my glasses out here, which created the Council on Sustainable Development to harmonize U.S. environmental policy with the UN directive of Agenda 21. So this is the United Nations basically getting into our local, county, state, and federal governments. Federal government resources were directed to work with state and local government to reinvent government as per Agenda 21. By 2002, this council had a guidebook in every town in the United States. That guidebook is entitled Growing Smart Legislative Guidebook for Planning and Management of Change. Even in our town, as seen on our Allegany website, one can find our own community plan. We didn't have the intricacy of community planning as we do now. And I just reviewed that last night. Apparently our county, based on our community plan that was reviewed with your planner in, I think, January 2013, 83% of our county is in natural resources. So it's a humongous amount that's already in natural resources. Presently, 600 to 700 cities in the United States participate with ICLEIs, ICLEIs. Alabama and Georgia are two states that have passed legislation. There's another state out west, I forget the name of it, that basically forbid Agenda 21 reforms. Our state obviously is run by the progressive Democrats right now, and we are not preventing anything in relation to Agenda 21. We're kind of doubling down on recent legislative actions, which you're probably aware of. There is some good news, however, because there's also about 600 to 700 ICLEIs that have been defeated from implementation by local government agencies. So the point we have to you is, and what we want to find out is, because of the fact we reviewed many articles, many time taxpayers are totally unaware if ICLEIs are being funded by us. And it might be knowing or even unknowing to you. So are you aware of any ICLEIs that you're funding? They come in different terminology. Again, vision has been used here tonight. Often vision is in the term involved with an ICLEI. It is something that Agenda 21 people have kind of rephrased and gotten away from the term ICLEI because of the fact that that's become on the marker for people to, fight against. What are the fundamental changes of Agenda 21? Land use restrictions, evidenced by Senate Bill 236 recently here in Maryland, which is the Maryland Septic Bill. This is restriction of land development, particularly in rural Maryland. What is the fundamental principle of Agenda 21? Actually, it is written, and there is a wildlife map that you can find on the website, stopagenda21maryland.org. There is a CEO by the name of Grant Harley, I think Harley or Halvey. He's going to be speaking to our group in August at our meeting. He's a retired engineer VP of Verizon. So this land map, wild map of Agenda 21 has 50% of the United States by the year 2050 being converted back to the wild, where only animals shall touch and man will not be allowed to touch. Now, this has been something that has been doubled down on significantly in Europe. The European Union, as you know, a socialist concept, is very instrumental. You can find certain bridges in Canada, probably in America. We have the infamous Turtle Bridge that we, through our stimulus, basically built where only turtles are allowed to walk on out west somewhere. And here is a picture, and I was on a tour in Poland. Everyone's sleeping on the bus. This is last July. And basically, the tour guide woke us up. She had been talking to us about what it was like in Poland growing up under communism and what it's been like, the good and the bad, and the controversy with Poland being basically brought into the European Union. I'm not trying to talk about my vacation, but she woke us all up because we had to look at this picture. This is on your last page of this bridge. Millions of dollars were spent by the European Union. There are two in Poland. And they go over new interstates that are being developed. So good that they're getting some development, but only animals are to walk on these bridges. And if man is found there, they just go to prison. Those were her words. So this is not for cows, that farmers are taking from one side to the other. This is for only wild animals. So if you're talking about government taxpayer dollars and what they're being spent for, we want to just let you become aware of the principles of Agenda 21. I'm sure you already, or you guys are pretty well read. But are we finding any ICLEs? That's what we're trying to find out.
I don't believe we are, but I will get back with you
Okay.
and find the Ickleys or Prickleys. Or
Okay.
What you may find is that some may be buried in some of the unfunded mandates.
And that's what we need to check out
all the time.
See what the state has,
That's exactly
has
right.
made us do.
That's exactly right.
regardless.
And it's my understanding with this Senate Bill 236, which is the infamous septic bill, that we commend you highly, and we are very glad to have your leadership. I think, was it you, Commissioner McKay? I'm not quite sure, who basically started the Maryland Coalition of Rural Counties, because this is the way that we can basically, fight these 5 counties that are controlling the state. In regards to the septic bill, we went into a little discussion with that, and our lecturer in August is certainly more attuned to this information than I am, and I hope you can attend. But basically, this phrase is in the septic bill. Now, if this is an Agenda 21, undertake land management to develop green corridors where only animals shall roam is in the septic bill. The septic bill has 4 different tiers, tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 are areas where there'll be no private septic systems, period. That's my understanding, and that's very typically right around the land where people own all this land, and this is their private property, and their ability to develop it has just been demolished. And that's from the regarding of private development of your own land. What tier is our county in?
Well, we have all 4 tiers.
Okay, okay.
You have to develop all 4 tiers.
Okay.
Because there's a tier that is municipal water and sewer, one where you plan to have municipal water and sewer, but a large majority of our county is tier 4.
Okay, tier 4.
Tier 4.
Because of now, this is what I understand about that bill just specifically. Senate Bill 236 states if a county does not adopt the 4-tier zones for the planned septic systems, the state will not approve any regulated development on septic systems. So the point you have to understand is written in that law was the fact that if your county did not develop a map, send it to the state, and then get it approved by the state was going to come in and basically say to you as the county, we will not approve any regulated development on septic systems. So this was a huge catch-22. There are about 4 or 5 counties that opted out of basically adopting that tier system, making the onus go to the state, because that way the taxpayers, the local government was not going to hold that responsibility and say, look, we had our hands tied, the state made us do this. You have to realize how much money people spend on their own land, and one of the things that communism takes down is your private property rights. You can call that with socialized medicine, you can call that with your land rights. So this septic bill was huge. So, I got to quit.
Your time's about up.
All right, so here's just basically, I have given you each a handout, and that's it. I basically got to market our next meeting, too.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So
We could get you a copy of our tier map if you'd like to have one.
When he comes, I can show him that.
Yeah, it would show you where all the tiers are.
Okay.
We can get you that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I'd like to remind everyone of our next public business meeting, which will be Thursday, May the 9th, 2013, at 5 o'clock right here in room 100.
I think it did.
You did? Certainly.
Commissioners, I didn't plan to speak this evening, but for the record, my name is Edward W. Taylor, Jr., 400 South Allegany Street, and I want to comment briefly on the budget. If I were a member of the Board of Education and I asked for $30 million and I was getting $29 million and so many hundred thousand, in this economy today, I would be highly grateful and thanking you for that amount of money. With economy in decline that we have right now, I come from the private sector. The private sector is what this nation is built on. It is built on capitalism. And when I sit in my county commissioner meeting and listen to Ms. Pappas get up and talk about the education system being one of the leading employers, that's scary. It is the private sector that is supposed to be the leading employer, not government. Government is not supposed to lead the way. Government is lower than private business and capitalism. It is appalling. The amount of money that these folks are asking for, and you give them almost 90-some%, and they still want more. Please do not give them another penny. I think they're getting plenty as it is. We have a declining population. We're one of the poorest counties in Maryland. It is a disgrace to stand here and say I'm a citizen of the state of Maryland. This entire state is a disgrace due to Governor O'Malley and the people in Annapolis that have literally bankrupted us. Please do not give these folks another dime. And I have 2 children in the public school system. So, I see what it is. Do not, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Okay. Before I close, I would like to call Bob Wolf up. And Bob, I want you and I to switch seats.
Come on up, sir.
Come on up. Closing the meeting. Okay. I want you to close our meeting for us, okay? Now, don't do it again. Let me go sit first.
Mr. Commissioner, it's very nice to have you at our meeting. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Bob, if you would, just thank everybody for coming.
I would like to close this meeting by
Just thanking everybody for
thanking
coming
everybody coming
and participating.
and participating in your government.
Absolutely, sir, and if you would, just... Very good.